My name is Brian Smith, and I am the publisher at Inside the Knights. And I want to go over a player that I think has a chance to have a very exciting season for UCF, and that would be Bryson Armstrong. He comes over from an FCS program, that's Football Championship Subdivision, and he is a player that was an All-American three times at that level in 2017, 2019, and then during the spring season in FCS in 2021. He is from Kell High School in Marietta, Georgia, just north of Atlanta. He is familiar with all the programs in this area, so he probably knows some of the guys that are playing for UCF. He's played with against guys from Florida and Georgia and Alabama, and that's a lot of the roster. So that's kind of good for him. He'll have some easy transition moments knowing some of these players. But most importantly, he's a very good football player that is versatile. And going against the spread offenses in today's college football world, Armstrong presents an opportunity to make an impact in a multitude of ways. First off, let's talk about him as a hybrid linebacker and what is a hybrid linebacker. Well, think of it this way. A traditional strong safety combined with a traditional outside linebacker. Armstrong is listed at 205 pounds, and he's about 5'11". Not the biggest guy. Quickness, instincts, and speed. Those are the things that he needs to utilize the most, and it's what he does. To put it in another way, if you look at him historically, he's always a leader on his team in tackles and stuff in college, but he's also been that way since he started his high school career. He had over 400 tackles at Kell High School in 4 years. Now, that's a lot. I don't care what division you're playing, and they play big boy football on the north side of Atlanta. He knows how to get to the ball. He has a nose for the football. Playing the hybrid linebacker position means the following. You are a player that is going to line up, depending on the formation, across from a slot receiver, what I like to call a jackrabbit, guy that's just really quick, same kind of player that you'll see on a punt return and or a kickoff return. And their job is to slow them down, usually with hands-on, physical. Armstrong can do that. That's one aspect of it. But the other part of it is this. When you're a linebacker in today's scheme, and it doesn't even have to be playing over the slot, one of the keys to being a linebacker today is distinguishing the play almost immediately once the ball is snapped and being able to flow to the outside or come inside, depending on where you line up, and take on screens, meaning go against offensive tackles, tight ends, etc., to get to that jackrabbit or to that running back or a bubble screen to a wide receiver that's really fast. That is today's college football world. If a linebacker cannot do that consistently, he will find himself standing on the sidelines next to one of the coaches. You just have to do it. Another way to kind of look at it is this. You're going to give up big plays. There's just so much speed in college football now, and everybody utilizes these guys in a different way each week, and you have to adjust. Even Nick Saban talks about you have to score. Nick Saban saying that is kind of like the Russians and Americans getting along circa 1955 during the Cold War. It just didn't happen. But even Saban is saying that now. You have to score points. Teams are going to threaten you, and they're going to put you in a very difficult situation play after play, even though they don't necessarily change personnel, because they could go with 21 package, meaning two tight ends and one running back, line up in a traditional sense with both those tight ends on each side. You go with your base package on 1st and 10. Makes sense. They go no huddle. It's 2nd down and 7 or something like that. They go to 5 players spread out. 2 of them being tight ends. Those tight ends essentially become offensive linemen in a screen scenario where one of those jackrabbits or one of those receivers gets the ball, and if your linebacker takes a false step from the inside or your hybrid linebacker makes a mental error in terms of the angle that he takes in pursuit of this player, it can be 6 real quick. That's what Saban and so many of the coaches talk about. You can look through Google and you can look through YouTube and Vimeo and Rumble and all these different channels. You can find different coaches talking about defending the spread. The theme, I'll make it real quick for you. You better be ready on every play. Not just once in a while they're going to do it. They're trying to score now. You must have athletic guys. Armstrong presents this opportunity because he can play multiple positions. He can play the hybrid linebacker, over the tight end or the slot, depending on how they want to line up on a particular play. He can blitz off the edge. He can play zone. And he can put his hands on and be physical with, say, a 5'10", 175-pound guy that can really run. This is absolutely valuable. You got to have guys like this. And they're also capable of changing where they line up play to play, much like an offense does with their tight ends. These flex tight ends, they're just a nightmare because they're taller than the DBs and the linebackers most of the time. And they're also very athletic. A lot of them are the kind of guys you would see as a wing forward or power forward in basketball that you throw an alley-oop to. When you get in the red zone, they're especially difficult, but that's a conversation for another day. The main point is you have to be able to take on blocks, use good footwork, be physical, and you have to be able to run. At some point, you're going to be chasing. It's not necessarily something that college defensive coaches want to talk about, but if you don't have elite speed at the slot position, whether you use a safety or a corner or a hybrid linebacker, depending again on the play, if that guy can't really turn and run, there's a chance that play ends up in 6 points for the offense. The other way that this young man can impact UCF would be playing a more traditional role within the box. Now, this is where it gets really interesting because Tatum, Bethune, and there's so many other guys that could play it for UCF, guys coming back. I don't think Tatum's going to come off the field much. He's a heat-seeking missile, but he could be injured. He may need a breather, etc. You're going to rotate guys, especially when you go against a team that's going to run no huddle and you're playing in Orlando's heat. Think about the temperatures in Orlando during the months of September and October. They're not real friendly for wearing a helmet. That's something that they have to take into consideration. You have to prepare for the worst to make sure that there's an opportunity for your defense to be fresh in the fourth quarter. Bryson Armstrong could potentially play there as well at a weak side linebacker type of position. It's called the money backer in the scheme that Travis Williams and David Gibbs run, and I expect him to at least get a look there. Maybe he won't play there or down, but he's physically capable of doing so. Armstrong's instincts, again, this is a guy that's known how to find the football for a very long time, will help him in the box, and he's also capable of running down a screen, just like I was discussing a moment ago, from the inside out. He could do that and be an invaluable asset. The final aspect of what he can do is something it's something taken out of the game to a certain degree with the new rules. You can just get the ball to 25. I understand that. Fair catch on a kickoff. Okay. But there's still the punt return, and there are some guys during kickoffs that actually attempt to run the football. There's no way in the world this guy isn't going to be a part of special teams packages for the Knights. Absolutely no way. He fits and personifies what you want. See ball, attack ball. That is Bryson Armstrong. There isn't a ton of film of him out there, etc., but his stats alone, you would even need to see film to understand that he can make tackles. He's been a 3-time All-American. Linebackers don't make 3-time All-American without being able to find the football just instinctively. He has that capability, and those are the players that most coaches will find a way to get on every special teams unit they can. It may not sound like a big deal, but he could be the last guy that changes a play because he makes a tackle and it otherwise would have went to the house for 6 points for the opponent. So finally, here's the little bit of recruiting with this. UCF brought in a transfer in Bryson Armstrong that's capable of playing multiple roles. Is this something they're going to do just exclusively with transfers? Is it something they're going to transition with a lot of high school guys? I think it's both. Bryson Armstrong is very valuable because of his ability to run, to play physical, to be instinctive. Why wouldn't you want that on your football team as many times as possible? He's very, very athletic, and he has the ability to make plays in space. That's the name of the game in college football today. So keep that in mind as we go through this college football season. Look for UCF to kind of go through a recruiting spell where they find that guy. Maybe there's a guy I'm not even talking about on the website right now at Inside the Knights. They may scout him this fall. A guy develops later. A 6', 200-pound guy, give or take size, that can play in space. can essentially be the old school strong safety or outside linebacker that you might have seen at Florida State in the late 90s that plays at 6', 210. That kind of guy. That's the player that makes the difference, and I think he represents that. So for Inside the Knights, I am Brian Smith, and you all have a great day. Thank you for watching.